Hello friends, this is Tanya and today I am playing with the Spellbinders November 2022 Large Die of the Month, Clear Stamp, and the Glimmer of the Month. This is the Layered Floral Card Creator. This is the Small Die of the Month. It is packed full of dies. They all coordinate very well with the Large Die, the Glimmer, and the Clear Stamp and Die of the Month this month. Spellbinders did a fantastic job of making all of these coordinate. There are several layers for these two different sizes of round flower, and there's lots of ways you can layer this. This is how I'm choosing to layer this small die. I have seen the small inner circle added as the last layer also, but you do you. On this particular flower, I chose to use reds through oranges through the rainbow. Now I've got these all layered. I'm just going to cup them a little bit in the palm of my hand. There's also a bell-shaped flower, and it has 3 pieces that you can use to add extra depth and color variation. And as you can see, this die set has a large base piece that you die cut, and then you can add detail with all of the different layering elements that will lay over the tops of the different parts of this big greenery section. There's even a second layer for a couple of these leafy pieces. As you can see here, I used a shimmery cardstock, but it was actually just some green cardstock that I spritzed with some of the Distress Mica stain. Still loving that stuff. I could use that all the time. I have heard people say that they have some of the mica rub off on their hands and in their products, like on the cutting plates in your die cut machine. But I've found that if you spritz the cardstock and then heat set it to dry the paper, I don't tend to lose the mica the same way. And maybe if it's a heavier weight cardstock, it works better. I don't know, but I don't have the problem of it rubbing off. I use some glitter cardstock in white here for these cute little berries. I love that they have that little half circle divot in them, so it looks like the stem is coming up through those berries, or that there is a little seed spot there. Such a cool detail. I'm adding this bell flower next to the, I think it's called a calyx, the part that connects the flower to the stem. We've got some more of these round berries. It is the same die, and it is pointing the other direction when it curves, but the berries are very flexible. Most of this video seems to be me assembling this layering die set. And you can really go in many directions with how you want to layer this and how you want to choose your colors, or wow, you could even just layer many of this large die cut over a piece of cardstock to create a background. There's lots of ways you could use this. And coincidentally, it coordinates with, like I said, all of those other kits from this month. So you could combine this with the other kits. Here we have the larger flower. It is basically the same as the smaller flower, just a different size. There's a different center also that you can use for this, as you can see. And I really like to add a little cupping to these flowers by just pushing them into the center of my hand. Now I'm going to adhere that to the coordinating spot on the main die cut piece, on our greenery piece. And look at that. I think this turned out just stunning. Here we have the Diamond and Arch stamp and die from this month, and there are coordinating dies for all of the pieces of this stamp set. There are 2 large images, and there are 5 sentiments, and they each have coordinating dies. I've taken this diamond shaped motif, and I'm going to cover this entire piece of 8.5 by 5.5 inch cardstock. I'm making a 5x7 card, and I tend to use a half sheet of cardstock when I'm creating a background for one of these 5x7 cards, just so I have a little bit of extra play for deciding where I'm going to, what part of the paper I'm going to use. Now this diamond and arch stamp set also coordinates really well with the Essentials diamonds and the Essentials arches. So if you have those in your stash, be sure to check that out. Pull out those die sets and see how well they coordinate. I love the way Spellbinders thinks ahead and uses their different products in combination with their kits also. I took out some of my favorite embossing powder. This is the Hero Arts White Satin Pearl, and I'm sprinkling that over this entire piece of cardstock, and then I will heat set it to get the shiny pearlized pattern that will create our background. It reminds me somewhat of a damask print, which I think is a beautiful classic touch. Very subtle and very beautiful, and adds just the right amount of interest in your background without distracting from the main image. I love that you can create a coordinating background without a separate or without embossing folders or anything. You can just use your stamp set. And you can see that the large flower and the berries that are in the die set are also in these stamps, in these motifs. Almost done heat embossing this entire sheet of cardstock. And look at that. What a beautiful shimmer. I will trim that down to fit on my 5x7 card base. But now I need to pick out a couple of, or a sentiment. I have the Hello Friend here because I want this to be a very general card, so I can use this for whatever I would like. And because these colors they're just kind of rich jewel tones, they would work for spring, summer, fall, and winter. They are an all of the seasons kind of color combo, and you could really change this up. I've seen some really gorgeous bold colors and some bright ones and some pastels. There have been a lot of different beautiful uses of this die set. Next, I'm going to show you, this actually comes out on November 8th. This is one of the Postage Edge sets, and then we are also using the embossing folder of the month. This is the fan motif, and the Postage Edge sets have several different sizes of a postage edge, and then they also have a layering coordinating dies that have a piercing element around the outside of the edge. I think these are gorgeous. I have the oval set here, and as you can see, it works beautifully with 5x7 cards. There's a rectangle, a slim line, a circle, and a square. And I think I have all but the rectangle, which I may add to my cart. Just saying. Just like the fluted classics and the hem stitch, and there's so many of those coordinating dies that work with the Essentials line. And now we have the arch, we have the diamond. There's so many beautiful layering pieces. As you could see, I die cut those two oval elements from the Postage Edge die set, and then I took the inner oval and embossed it with the fan motif embossing folder, just another layer of texture. This actually has a very retro feel to me. This feels like something from the 50s, beautiful wallpaper that your grandmother or great-grandmother might have had. And all those old things are kind of new again, just like old names are coming back. There are so many names that are cycling back into popularity, as are so many styles. I'm adding a little extra bling to this card with some clear gems that have an iridescent quality. And we're going to glue in our sentiment, which I've layered with two extra pieces behind it to give it a little extra heft and height. We're also going to use some of the coordinating Glimmer of the Month kit for, pieces here. This is an amazing Glimmer foil set. it has one plate that foils several of these motif elements and a sentiment, and then one die that cuts all of the pieces at once. I love that. And I actually went a little crazy with my foiling and die cutting. So you'll have to come back later to see more of the Glimmer foil. But they create beautiful accents for the insides of this card. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, take a moment to do that now. If you're interested in any of the product that I used today, check that description box below. They'll be listed and linked as always. And until next time, here are a couple more videos I thought you might enjoy. Bye-bye.